Hey guys, it's Jeff from San Diego Seed Company, and today I'm in the garden. It is July, and we are making a video for you beginner gardeners. Maybe you just started getting into gardening, and it's the dead of the summer, and you don't exactly know where to start. This is the video for you. Don't go anywhere, but before we get into all the information, please hit like and subscribe so you can stay in the know anytime we put out a new video. Okay, so if you've followed our channel for a while, you know we've got the boards. Bridget is deep in her pregnancy. She cannot be on the video, so we made our own board. I did not make this board. I drew it on paper and told my wife to write it. That's why it looks so nice, because it would not have looked this nice if I did it. What to plant in July. You'll notice we've got two sections, starts and direct sow. If you have no idea what this means, get a life, you should. Starts mean that you're taking seeds, starting them yourself in a tray or starter pots, and then planting them out into the garden. Direct sow, which usually happens with larger seeds, we'll get into that. That means you're taking the seed and putting it directly in the place where it's gonna grow its full life. Let's start over here with starts. We've got the classic eggplant, tomato, peppers, tomatillo, basil. Now this is not an exhaustive list. There are other things like sweet potatoes and more minor crops that you can start from seed in July, but if you do have something that's not on either one of these lists, just check the back of the seed pack. It should tell you whether it's a warm season or a cool season crop, but make sure that you are paying attention to what zone you're in. Because if you're in zone 9 and 10 versus zone 4, 5, and 6, or something even lower in between, the time that you plant certain plants is going to change. So this video, as a reminder, is specifically for zone 9 and 10. Eggplant, tomato, pepper, tomatillo, basil. If you're a rather experienced gardener, you've probably already started these back in February, March, April, and they've given you enough produce that they're about to be dead. They're spent. So you're going to want to start all of these now. So by the end of July, in about 4 weeks, which is how long it takes typical plants to go from seed to being big enough to grow out into the garden, you're going to be able to put mature plants into the ground and get that final crop of summer crops. Okay, I'm just gonna pause the video now to explain why my hat is backwards. It's so my bill doesn't shade my face. I just felt the need to say that. I probably won't put this in the video, but if you see it, it means I changed my mind and I decided to leave it in. Okay, next up, this section, direct sow. Like I said earlier, typically when you're direct sowing, it means the seeds are big enough to be able to survive out in the wilderness, push through mulch, push through bigger pieces of soil. And also the other reason that you direct sow these is these don't like their roots disturbed. They typically send out a long, deep taproot, and if you're trying to do those in starts, it will work, but when you transplant them, there's gonna be a lot of shock. And what typically happens, let's say you started beans in the ground, but you also did a round in a tray. Once these beans get big enough in the tray, and you plant them out, when you transplant the transplant of beans, let's say you planted that bean seed the same day, the bean seed that you plant in the ground is probably going to outgrow the one that you transplanted just because its roots have not been disturbed. The only reason you would want to actually start any of these seeds in starts is if you had an indoor growing area and you just wanted to get a jump on the weather. But like I said, even though you get a jump on that weather and get it started inside, once you take it outside, it's gonna be shocked for so long, you're better off just starting them directly into the ground. Okay, so if you can't read, I'll say them out loud. Beans, corn, cucumbers, squash, melons, and pumpkins. If you think about it, all those have large seeds. They're gonna do great outdoors, and it is not too late in July. Even though it's hot and you think of gardening in the spring, July, there's still plenty to do. Okay, last section on the board is flowers. Do not forget flowers. None of these plants will work if your garden doesn't have pollinators, and that's what flowers do, is they attract pollinators. Bees, wasps, butterflies, the things that fly around and put pollen from flower to flower and give you the fruit. They don't happen without flowers. So as you can see, our garden has tons of flowers around and tons of bees and butterflies too. As an example, we just started a tray of flowers here, 1st of July, and we have got some cosmos, zinnias, feverfew, phlox, calendula, and celosia, or celosia. I don't know, I'm sure somebody in the comments will tell me that I said that right or wrong. As our spring flowers start to deteriorate and kind of putter out, We start these now inside. We're gonna transition them outside, fill in those places where the old flowers went out, and start attracting some more pollinators.
Alright, so a lot of herbs have really small seeds. Basil is no exception. And one reason that we're going to be starting those inside is, one, we don't really have the room to start them out here right now, but also it gives us good control over the moisture levels, over the light. And these basil plants are just about all done. They're going to flower. We're going to make a lot of pesto, but we need reinforcements, so that's why we're going to be starting new basil plants to replace these in the next couple weeks. In the direct sowing category, right here is a luffa seed. Now, not the biggest seed, but it's definitely not a small little herb seed, for example, or a lettuce seed. And so these, we actually put directly into the ground. We direct sowed them, and last week we direct sowed a round of luffas. This little guy is popping up. We're seeing his first true leaf, and one reason we really like to direct sow luffas is they're super finicky. If you transplant them, they can survive, but we've seen them just go into transplant shock and not do anything for a week or two and just look stagnant. So if you have the space and you're able to, direct sow them. Always do a little bit of extra with luffa, and then wait a couple weeks. In our household, we love salsa. Peppers, tomatoes, cilantro is a little bit tricky because it doesn't like this time of year, but we do love a good green salsa with tomatillos. These were started in, why can't I say the word February? These were started in February, inside. Oh, we just had ourselves a drop. And you can see this plant, it's given and given, but it's also on its way out. It's succumbing to some powdery mildew here. We don't want that to spread in the garden anymore, so we're gonna be yanking this out. And so that's why it's so important to succession plant and have backups, so that way when this comes out, we can put another plant right in its place and keep enjoying fresh tomatillos all summer long. Because we love salsa so much, we actually already have a backup. This here is another tomatillo plant, started in June, and now that the sun has been coming out more, the plants are just taking off after a very gray April, May, June. Plants were a little bit slower, but now they're just thriving and really getting after it. So we are gonna be enjoying fresh tomatillos off this guy in no time. All right, over in this little raised bed, we have a trellis connected to it, and we're letting our butternut squash go up that, and we're super excited. We love having fresh butternut squash, and they store for so long. They're awesome, awesome to have and make a great soup. And then down lower in the raised bed, we're gonna let these 3 melon plants just spill out into the walkway, take up all the space that they need to. And so we'll be sure to be amending this bed with fertilizer, fresh compost throughout the season, so that way these 5 or so plants are getting all the nutrients that they need. So that's a list of things that we recommend planting in July, whether direct sow or starts. For a full list of things like lemon balm, catnip, other herbs, and other fruits, veggies that we recommend planting this month, be sure to check out the calendar. Because we're halfway through the year, that is discounted for the rest of the year, but all the information, coupon codes, video links, what to plant list, that's all still relevant, and you can continue to use that for the rest of this year and then of course into next year. So definitely check that out for a full list of some of our favorite varieties, planting tips, and more info that you can use in your garden in July and all year.